Hey everybody, welcome to Heart with Dan and Angela.
Hi everyone.
And we're looking forward to sharing this talk with you today. And the talk that we wanted to share with you is, can you find truth after the truth? And I know that sounds like a conundrum, but the fact of the matter is we were all brainwashed, Angela included in her church, Worldwide Church of God, that they had the absolute truth, right? And we had the proof to prove that, right? We were the only ones who used the name Jehovah. We were the only ones who talked about the paradise earth. We didn't believe in a Trinity. We didn't do holidays. So it was branded in us that we had the truth. And now, all of a sudden, because of what's happened in the organization or what's happened to us with elders or the false prophecies or whatever, our world has completely collapsed. And that's our inner world. We've had an internal collapse, an internal breakdown, or like Ray Franz, I believe, called it a crisis of conscience, right? So it's an interesting question because we've had so much brainwashing. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. We were told, you can't go to Christianity. They worship Jesus, right? And they worship the Son. And Jesus said he sits at the right hand of God. You remember all that programming we had? We can't go to the Seventh-day Adventists. They're a cult. The Mormons, a cult. We can't go into Buddhism or any of that because they're all pagan,
Science,
right?
mind, anything. Doesn't really matter.
So we've had the whole external world of religion and spirituality turned off, right? We can't go there. And if you go there, you find out it's a lot like the witnesses have programmed us that it would be, right?
Oddly. Well, I don't know. It ends up to me feeling like it's just another Jehovah's Witness organization or Worldwide Church of God organization. To me, I think they're all the same.
Yeah,
in a lot of ways.
Yeah, they are. And that's what I'm saying. When you go there, like say you go into a Christian church, right? What did the witnesses tell you? That they were worshiping Jesus, right? Mm. And so when you go in there, it's Jesus this, Jesus that, Jesus died for us, worshiping Jesus, and you're doing all this stuff. And in the back of your mind, you're going, oh my God, that's what Jehovah's Witnesses told us they would do. That's the world empire of false religion, Babylon the Great. And so, you're kind of shut down. So you sit there and you say, what do I do? Do I become atheist? Do I just, what the hell do I do?
Yeah.
And what happened with me was I had lots of well-meaning people, when I came out of the witnesses, said, oh my God, we're going to take them to our church,
Right.
So I visited, I don't know how many churches with people, and I always got this horrible feeling in me, I got invited to about 200 Christian churches. You know what I mean? And every time I went in, there was something wrong, right? This one was doing the laying on of hands and, you know what I mean? And speaking in tongues. And it's like, oh my God, that was all done away with. Witnesses, right? And so I'd get the hell out of there. That looked demonic. They were all running around making a lot of noise. And, it just went on and on and on. And so I started to wonder, am I ever going to find truth, And what I realized over time was that the truth that I was given was just a limited perspective. You know what I mean? It was a box. It was a program. Because when I went into these other churches, I realized that they had their own program.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like if you go to the Mormons, they'll talk a lot about covenants and doctrines and prophets, right? They said, God always had a prophet on earth. He'd never leave us without a prophet. So who has a prophet? The Mormons have a prophet, right? And there's some kind of weird testimony that they have with the Book of Mormons that proves that he's a prophet. And so they have this tapestry of beliefs right out of the Bible.
Everybody does.
And yeah, everybody does. So they take you to the Bible. And if you didn't know any better, you would probably walk right into Mormonism because you don't have a big enough frame of reference to see that truth in the Bible or whatever is bigger than a church.
Right. We didn't have the broad picture when we were growing up. And so we were limited down to this tiny little something based on what we've been told that we must believe. But they all have the same thing is what Dan and I have come to believe. Yeah. Or realize, I should say. Realize, not to believe. We've seen it for ourselves.
Yeah, and when you got out, people were just as defensive as we were.
Yes.
They were just as defensive. If you go to a Christian and you say, well, Jesus is not God, you'll be in a fist fight. I mean, they're going to tell you, my God, you're a pagan and, you're going to be destroyed. Jesus is going to destroy you, because you don't believe in him a certain way. And it's the same thing. And they have all the scriptures that prove it. They have scriptures that say Jesus is God. And, I don't know all the scriptures because I didn't care. But it didn't matter where you went. If you went into the Seventh-day Adventist, what did they talk about in there, Seventh-day Adventist?
Well, Sabbath day and, the food, the
Yeah,
concern for the body.
we eat, we don't eat meat. God said no meat. And we honor the Sabbath. It starts on Friday night till Saturday night. That's when we worship.
If you don't worship
Sunday's
on that day,
pagan.
then,
Sunday's pagan.
Yeah.
And that's not the Sabbath, and that's not part of the Ten Commandments. And so they have a tapestry
We
of
also
beliefs.
have a prophetess,
Yeah.
Ellen White.
Ellen White.
That dictates, and that really it's kind of like the Mormon Church. The bishop, whatever he says, overrides what God says. They say is kind of like that. Ellen White. She supersedes what the Bible even says. Every single religion has its weirdnesses and their problems, and they also have some really great little things too. Is what we've kind of found.
And it's interesting because when you come out of that box, like we did when we came out of the Jehovah's Witnesses in Angela, the Worldwide Church of God, when we came out, when we look back, we saw all the boxes. When we traveled around, I am a this, and I'm proud of it. I am a Buddhist. I am a Hindu. I am a, spiritual person. I am a, and they were all, really, really proud of what they
their
are.
tribe.
And I'm going, wow, look at all the boxes they live in, and I thought of my little witness world, like God, does he really need you to call him Jehovah? I mean, really, there's many gods and many lords, but there's only one Jehovah, and he won't know you're talking to him if you're bawling your eyes out and crying your head off and saying, Lord, I love you. Abba, Father, I love you. He won't know it's him. He thinks you're talking to Satan. And so, God's that stupid. He needs you to call him by name. But everybody has these ideas. It was weird, wasn't it?
Yeah, it's really been interesting.
Yeah, everywhere you go. And I'm not attacking them. If that's what they want to believe, that's what they believe. I was a witness for 40 years. So I got to believe what I wanted to believe. But I just want to say, until I got out, and I've been out a while. I've been out over 22 years. And as I've gotten out, I've seen the box that I was in now. I was seeing the narrow-minded, box. This was my world made up of, I think the witnesses use 114 scriptures, repetitively over and over, about that many. And other churches have their tapestry of scripture.
They're 14, if you will.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And so,
it's true.
And so you start to see that, and then you realize, wow, I was in a program. I just didn't see a bigger picture. I didn't see. I mean, people that are born into another country and another religion, like if you were living in the Himalayas, and your parents were Buddhist, and you woke up in the morning and you meditated and you did all that, that's what you would be, right?
Right.
How would you be a Christian? How would you be a Jehovah's Witness? Do the witnesses climb up there like mountain goats up into the Himalayas and, tell them all about, most of them live a good life, right? The Tibetans live a good life. They're not bothering anybody. They're worshiping, if you will, in their spirit and truth. They're meditating.
Doing a lot of good.
Doing a lot of good. Did you have a thought?
No, I just was realizing that we've got 2 minutes before,
Yeah.
So we have a lot to cover, I have a feeling.
So anyway, I want to say this. I want to say, give yourself time. Give yourself all the time you need. I had a lady friend of mine, kind of a mentor, and she said, Dan, don't rush into this thing. This is a big thing, right? You spent 40 years in a false belief. Give yourself time to embrace something new. Why don't you be a researcher? Why don't you recognize you're on your journey? Why don't you just take your time?
Right.
Turn over your own rocks. See what that's about. See what that's about. Look at the different religions. Look at different spirituality, right?
And Dan and I think look, you're going to go out, we're told if we go outside, it's going to mess us all up. That we're going to end up in Satan's world somehow. We're going to be tricked and we're going to fall apart. Well, guess what? Me and Dan, we have not had that experience.
No.
So if you care to know that did not ruin us.
Right.
So if that helps at all. But maybe we could talk about what kind of things helped us once we got free.
Yeah.
Because we have said this before, guys, but we do believe that a lot of people just need a break. And so how can you...
And I want to tell them this too before I get there. I just want to say, their growth was stunted.
Yeah.
My growth was stunted. I did not see before leaving Watchtower. I did not think before Watchtower. Think about that. You didn't have to think.
No.
You ask governing body, how do I go to the bathroom? Which hospital do I go to?
How do I deal with my kid in this situation, that situation? It's all spelled out.
It's all spelled out. You don't have to think. All you have to do is make your meetings, right? go out in the field service. We had training wheels put on us. The governing body put training wheels on us.
Yeah, very
And
much so.
and so just know that you have never really had to think. You've never really had to take responsibility. You've been a part of group think. You've been in the group think. Everybody agreed. Everybody patted everybody on the back. And trust me, it's the same in every church.
Yes,
Trust
it
me,
is.
trust me. You go to any other church and it's, oh, hey, Bobby, how you doing? Come in here. Yeah, it's the same thing. And so you've never had to like take that responsibility. So we just wanted to share a few pointers in closing on what to do. Like I said, I just said, give yourself time, take a sabbatical. I know that's kind of a religious word, but take a break. Just let the muddy waters settle.
Yes.
And you have to do that. You've had programming against churches, programming against yourself. You've been told you're good for nothing. You're a pig that returns to the mire. You've just been abandoned. So give yourself time. Do not, here's another one. Do not be codependent on other people. Other people will want you in their religion badly, won't they?
Yeah.
Her dad, her mother. And it's normal, right? You're out of the cult, you're out of your cult, right? And so they want you in their cult or their religious idea.
Well, and my heart goes out to you, okay? Because I do know how your mind is just bombarding you with every kind of reason why you should be running back or just confusion of every kind, guilt, shame, unbelievable that the ideals, truths, fake truths that you were told just are running in your mind, like what's going to happen to you now that you've left.
Yeah.
And even though you know in your heart that you've done the right thing, you know that at least they've gotten way off. I mean, at least that that might be where you're at. At least I know that where they're at right now is not of God. Something's gone wrong, and I'm out. But all that programming is still running your life and making you just running havoc in your brain of fear and guilt and shame because you're not doing this, you're not doing that now, and you're with the world now, and all these kind of horrible brainwashing things they've done to make sure you don't ever leave. And so my heart goes out to you, but I had to kind of learn, and Dan has had to kind of learn too, that guess what? We are not our mind, and we don't have to let it run the show. So what we've had to learn is that you just say to that thought, wait a minute, and you analyze it, and you just talk about it, even out loud or to yourself. You have to kind of say, no, wait a minute, stop. You literally have to talk to your brain like that and say, no, the truth is, and then state it. And say and just say what you know is the truth and just shut it down, because otherwise you just go loop to loop to loop and it will make you nuts. And so if you'll just start beginning to do the questioning and the arguing with your mind and say, no, stop it. Just stop it right now. I'm not listening to this bull because this is not true. And here's why. And that's how you have to do it. Otherwise, you're just going to go nuts, and you have to be on drug medication to calm your mind.
Be patient with yourself.
Yeah, be patient, compassionate.
Got programming, subconscious programming.
Yeah.
We ate, slept, and whatever. Watchtower, right?
Yes.
Saturday, Sunday, tired, late, studying, talks.
Yeah.
So give yourself time. And Angela had a couple suggestions. What were you talking about? Nature?
Well, here's the thing. You got to keep busy, right? Because you can't just sit around and you're fearful of going out because you know that that's the world, empire, false religion, whatever. And you have these fears, but you can't do that. Okay, so what you're going to have to do is something along this is what we did. You got to take a whole lot of walks in nature. Maybe with your dog if you've got a dog, but just get out. And I don't know what it is about being out in God's creation, but something is very helpful there. It's like you really sense a lot of peace. You see the birds, you see the different things going on, the wind. I don't know. It settles you. It gives you a lot of peace. I'd say get out in nature as much as you can. Get out in God's creation. Walk a lot. Maybe you can go to a gym or join a gym and work out. That's a really great one. You could take a pottery class, right? Or if you write poems, start writing poems. Music, yeah. Join a choir. That's the kind of things that I did and Dan did.
We wrote about our religious experience too, helped.
Yeah, Dan learned he knew how to paint. He didn't know how to paint, but I got him a gift for Christmas because we started celebrating Christmas for the first time, a little bit. And then Dan got an art set from me, and he's like, what in the world? And so he decided to try it out, and lo and behold, he finds out that he's an artist. And so you don't know, just try some things out. It takes your mind off of the craziness of what your mind's loop to loop to loop, and you're focused on something something good and positive. I don't know. You come up with them. You can even, ask.
You're going to find out you're more too
Yeah.
than your program.
Right.
You know, you thought you just handled microphones and gave talks and sisters pioneered. Yeah, you're going to find out you're loaded with gifts. You have tons of gifts. You're here for a purpose. You have tons of gifts to share with the world. And part of mine were like being an author, writing, Angela's music, writing, all sorts of things, wasn't it?
Yeah. And also Dan loved reading books. And you remember the witnesses said, don't read any books outside of what you're told. Well, guess what? He is a wonderful man now, and he's very well rounded. He's an old shoe to people, and he's studied a lot of different kind of books, and it hasn't hurt him one whit. I was scared to death when I started dating him, and he's reading all these really strange type things that were not Christian, and I was just scared to death of it. But slowly but surely, he'd say little things, and I'm like, well, read me a little bit more of that. And it just slowly but surely opened me up. You're going to be like that. You'll read something and you'll put it away like, and then you'll hear something later on, and then you'll think, well, maybe I should look at that again. And it's just going to be how it's going to be because of the fears and the programming that's been programmed into us. But trust me, if you just don't let your mind run wild, stop it, get distracted, make yourself get distracted.
Yep.
Do something to don't let your mind run the show. That would be my greatest
And eventually
thing.
that'll move to the back. All that programming and all that shame and guilt. And you'll start to find out that the world is kind of friendly. I mean that all the people aren't satanic.
No.
You know, we were told they're all going to be destroyed. You'll have people give you $500 for no reason. You'll have, miracles happen. People paid for a lot of stuff for me, thousands of dollars, strangers.
Yeah, for colonics and stuff that he needed because of his profession that he needed to be cleaned out.
So if you give yourself the time, you'll find out that the world isn't your enemy. Mostly 90% will be your friend and try to encourage you. And you're going to find out your gifts. You're going to find out your path. You're going to find out why you're here. And you're going to live from that. And that is a lot better place than living for a God that's got your arm twisted, that is threatening you every day with narcissism, right? You better worship me or I'll kill you. You better call me by name or I'll kill you. That's not God.
No,
and so
that's not even logical.
We just wanted to give you those few pointers today. We wanted to kind of keep it short.
Yep.
But we just want to give you those pointers today and say, God bless you on your journey. It's your journey. It's your personal journey. Do not be codependent on others. Get out into nature. Get some hobbies going. Try to find those gifts that you're here to share with the world.
Absolutely. And just choose love. Just choose love.
Follow love even.
Yep, because that's one thing Dan and I both noticed that getting out of our cults is that, where was the love? We started finding out, wow, there's real, genuine, heartfelt love outside of here that I hadn't seen in my church, Worldwide Church of God. Dan hadn't seen. Like, what in the world? Something's really wrong. So,
and you realize it's about love. But anyway, guys, be blessed. Have a great day.
Yes.
And we enjoyed these. We're going to do these little talks, and hopefully you get something from it. If you like it, please share it and subscribe and pass it on. That's all. That's all we want to do. And you guys have a wonderful, great rest of the weekend. All right.
Amen.
Okay.
All right.
Talk to you soon.
Over and out.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.